Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. It's Thursday. Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith are here with me to discuss all the football issues and look ahead to the Europa League matches. Here's what's on the agenda. Yeah, just a few of the things we'll be talking about, among other issues concerning Scottish football. It might not be the best football in the world, but certainly it's up there as the best to write about. There's never a dull moment in Scottish football. Rangers have made a complaint about Willie Collum today, and the statement is as follows. Rangers are extremely disappointed with the decision of the FA's judicial panel to dismiss our appeal against the second yellow card shown to Daniel Candeias in the closing seconds of last Saturday's match against St Mirren. Rangers afforded the governing body the opportunity to let common sense prevail, and were surprised they've chosen not to do so by correcting what was and what remains an inexplicable decision by the match referee Willie Collum. Rangers shall now seek a fundamental review of the rules relating to red cards which result from two bookings of a player in a game. In one of these decisions, if one of these decisions is obviously wrong, it must be possible to correct that mistake. It is wrong that players' livelihoods and careers can be impacted without the opportunity of redress, especially when the official responsible for the miscarriage of justice is allowed to continue as though beyond question or reproach. It defies belief that this same referee who got it so blatantly wrong last Saturday is awarded one of the biggest matches in Scottish football this weekend, while Daniel Candeias is denied the right to do his work. This, frankly, is unacceptable. Well, couple of issues here on this. Just to finish, Rangers go on to say, furthermore, it's understood that a number of people within the Scottish FA are in no doubt Mr Collum's judgment was flawed, and Rangers shall also now be submitting a formal complaint about the performance of this referee. The manner in which he reacted to an incident involving our player made it obvious he did not give due consideration to his decision. This is by no means the first time errors of judgment have been made in matches involving this official, and clearly there is an underlying issue which requires to be addressed. Strong words indeed. Couple of points here. I think there are two issues, Gordon. One is obviously a situation where people think there was a miscarriage of justice for Daniel Candeias. The second is calling into question the integrity of a referee here, which clearly Rangers are doing to the SFA. Two issues. How would you deal with it?
Yeah, I think the second one's a bit strong. Calling into contention his ability to do it, or his behaviour or whatever. I think that is something that's obviously down to the club. The other issue I would say is I'm in agreement with the fact is I do think that it's a good point to make, and something that should maybe have been addressed before, that if yellow cards can't be disputed, you cannot overturn a yellow card. But if it's two yellow cards that have resulted in a red card, then I do believe there should be something to look at it so that one of the yellow cards can be disputed, which is the case here. So if there's two yellow cards, whether it's the first or the second, a red card has been the result of that. So therefore you can actually look at a red card scenario and complain about it.
I think the problem here with this one, though, is they complained about it on the basis of mistaken identity, which clearly Willie Collum doesn't believe it is mistaken identity. No. He sent off the player. He booked that particular player. I think Rangers were feeling that the person who was the culprit was Anton Ferdinand.
Yeah, it's not in this case of mistaken identity as such that there's a big case. I just think that if a player gets two yellow cards, and they're not, if they're genuine, if he gets one yellow card, you can't dispute it. You just let it go. That's it. You've got a yellow card. You might have a suspension if you get a numerous ones over a certain amount of time. But if it happens in the same match and one of them can be disputed and can be challenged, then I think that every club's got a right to do that. I think if they bring in that rule, I think it'll be good. But in terms of looking at Willie Collum's own performance and how he behaves, that's a separate issue totally.
Yeah. On the issue of the second yellow, I thought it was. I just thought it was farcical that he should have been sent off.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not privy to the report. I don't know what he said in the report. I don't know why he gave him the second yellow card. But the bottom line is 3 people have agreed with him. The judicial panel have agreed, and he's got the fine.
Now,
So-
I mean, that point, can I pick up on that
Yeah,
point, Ruffy?
yeah.
We are in a situation now, and I think the last two paragraphs have put Rangers in a sticky wicket here. If there are people who are at the FA who share their view, then name names.
Exactly.
You know, get the names out there and say who shares your view, Rangers. And I think Rangers have also left themselves wide open to criticism on, you know, I think leaving Willie Collum open to a fair bit of abuse because they're calling into question his integrity, not just in this game, but over, obviously, a period of time.
Yeah, and it's their opinion to do that. You know, we would all say it's wrong. It's singling out one particular guy, putting extreme pressure on him for games that he's got to have to handle coming up, and a lot of them will be Rangers games. He seems to get the high-profile games, so Rangers will have to deal with that. And Gordon's right about the rules, you know, the card situation, but the time we discussed that is the beginning of the season. The time for all the clubs to say, look, we don't like this, let's change it. You can't make it out as if it's just Rangers that have been punished for this. It's the same rule for all the other teams, every other player and every other team. So they're not being singled out as, oh, this is just us.
Yeah, but I think
done for this.
I agree with you on that point. But what's happened is I think they've managed to, you know, with a legitimate point, suddenly lose the moral high ground by targeting a referee. I think their targeting of Willie Collum is where I think they'll find themselves in hot water.
I think it maybe should have been kept as two separate issues. You know, the first one they should have been doing was just challenging the fact about a second yellow card, and they should be looking at if it results in a red card, then you can challenge a red card. You know, if it's a straight red, you can actually dispute it. Now, I believe the same should be the case for teams who a player gets 2 yellow cards when one of them is disputable. Normally, under the normal circumstances, as I said, 1 yellow card can't be, challenged. But 2 should be able to if it results in a red.
Yeah, okay. We move on to another one, and we'll get 20 odd issues to deal with here on this Thursday. Neil Lennon says taking away a season ticket from an individual who throws coins might not be enough, Ruffy. He's obviously relating to last week with regards to what happened with him. He doesn't know what the solution is, but certainly he feels, Neil Lennon's spoken today and says he feels nobody, neither manager or player, should be subjected to coin throwing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have to say that the 3 clubs that have been had to deal with it have acted very quickly and swiftly, including St Mirren. They're going to ban these people for life. You know, and I think that's the right message you need to send out there. If you want to go even further, it's up to obviously the police to do jail sentences. You know, a jail sentence, obviously it's harder to do that because you need to have some kind of record of what you've got in your background. But certainly these kind of things would send out a message to, you would think, normal, sensible people. If I throw a coin, I'm going to get banned for life and I'm going to end up in jail for 3 months, you know. And if you are stupid enough to not take that on board, then you deserve everything you get.
They would probably have to have a previous in order to be jailed or whatever. But I certainly agree with Neil Lennon that the MD, first and foremost, should be banned from any football, not just a club that they're a supporter of or whatever. They should just be banned, even if they have to go along in a match day or whatever and wait in a police station or whatever, just to make sure that they are not out at football anymore. These people need to be put out of the game. Neil Lennon's absolutely correct in that.
So the next part here is Nicola Sturgeon, who's backing Neil Lennon, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but rearing its ugly head last night is Jose Mourinho, who cups his ear to the fans who've been giving him dog's abuse in the Juventus-Manchester United game. Now, a number of English players have come out and said he shouldn't do it. Neil Lennon has certainly proved to be a divisive figure as far as this issue is concerned, because you don't believe that managers should in any way get involved with anyone from now on in a game.
Yeah, well, the terminology, what they say is that the managers should act in a responsible manner when they're on the touchline. Now, you have situations where you've got a position where it's a vital game and there can be problems with it, especially in derby matches. Now, I know they may be judged more harshly in that respect, but I do think that a manager has an ambassadorial role for the club, and I do believe if I was the SFA, I'd be making it very clear to managers and saying, please do not react to supporters, just ignore them, concentrate on your game, your team, don't react to them. And I think that would be the best way forward. There's not a lot of it happens, right? But I just think the manager should be in a position whereby he ignores it. Despite all the abuse he might be getting, you just ignore these people and concentrate on the match.
Well, funny enough, Craig Levine's come out today and he has said that quite simply he's amazed that Hibs and Hearts have obviously been issued with a notice of complaint over the fracas that were on the field as well. He said if you think that's problematic and that deserves a notice of complaint, you have to have a look at the biggest picture. He thought there was nothing in it. Now, I personally was gobsmacked by your take on Chris Boyd's celebration towards the Aberdeen fans, Neil Lennon's situation, and then we go to Jose Mourinho. I think we're taking the fun out of the game, Gordon, but I genuinely believe that the onus is on the fans to conduct themselves and not be in a situation where they think it's okay to throw coins.
Yep.
I don't mind Chris Boyd doing that. I certainly don't mind Neil Lennon doing it because I was there, I watched what he said. I don't have a problem with interaction, providing, of course, you're not antagonising the crowd. You feel differently about that?
I don't feel that there's any problem with it either. I think that you can have a laugh and a joke and laugh at a team when they lose a goal or you've scored against them. That would be fine if you can do that. But the problem is that it's been regarded as well by the police and the authorities to think this could be inciting the crowd, and that's why players are not allowed anymore to go to the opposition support, run behind the goals and celebrate.
Is it the running behind the goal, or is it the running towards them?
Well, running and going in front of them, leaving the pitch. You
just think leaving the pitch?
Leaving the pitch is a
as
crucial
long as you
element.
don't leave the pitch, it's okay.
Most of the time, they still can be done depending on whether the referee decides it is volatile in terms of what he's done. If it's regarded as something that might incite the crowd, then it can be punished.
Yeah, I didn't think Neil Lennon incited the crowd, Gordon.
We don't know. I don't know if he did or not. Who's to say? What I'm saying is, who judges that? Did they go around and interview every day? Were you incited there, or were you annoyed at Neil Lennon doing that? You don't do that. What you need to do is to make sure that a manager should not be at all involved. And as I say, even if it was my own son that was doing it, or I was a chairman of a club, I'd be saying to my manager, don't get involved with the away support.
So, and I presume that goes for players as well?
Players as well. Don't get involved with the away support, yes.
Ruffy?
Again, we've got the morons out there that these things will upset, but I think every manager is different from everybody else. Everybody reacts different. There are people who, react to situations who wouldn't bother us. It wouldn't get me. Whatever Neil Lennon did to me, if I was sitting in that stand and I was a Hearts supporter, it wouldn't bring me on to throw a coin.
Yeah, but Gordon thinks Neil Lennon should be punished. Chris Boyd shouldn't, by the authorities.
No, I'm saying that for now on, the manager should be told not to do it, or else they will be punished.
Yeah,
they should be.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not feel earlier in the week that he should be punished for that?
I'm saying he could have been if the rules were correct, the manager should be punished for doing it because they shouldn't be possible. Whether you accept, you don't think it was inciting the crowd. That's down to personal opinion.
No, I get interpretation. I absolutely buy into interpretation. But clearly, the interpretation was that he didn't incite the crowd.
A volatile atmosphere.
Well,
if he did incite the crowd, he would be up in front of the SFA.
Yeah, but the people that he's inciting are the morons and the thugs that are throwing the coins.
No, but that's a different matter.
It's the same for the player that does it too. If the player does it, what they're saying, oh wait a minute, MD that actually gets annoyed by that, it's not your fault, so I'm not going to book you. You can just go and celebrate in front of the away support. But what they're trying to say is you shouldn't do that because it could incite people, and if there's any possibility that might happen, they're saying don't do it.
You'd agree it's killing the game then? You're killing the game by obviously the Chris Boyd situation,
of course they are.
who you could see right from the moment it was a bit of fun.
A player takes his shirt off now when he scores a goal, he's booked for it. But the managers actually are told to act in a responsible manner on the touchline, which means don't get involved with the away support.
But again, the only thing I would say is, I don't think the two of them are. I don't think you separate the two of them. I think if you're saying Neil Lennon should be punished for that, I think Chris Boyd's in the same game. I don't think they should be punished, but I think they're in the same game if we're working off those rules. It's subjective. It's also subjective from the basis of the SFA, which goes back to the Willie Collum thing. If the SFA, and you're talking about a three-man panel here, Ruffy, that you mentioned, if they think this is something that isn't in our mind breaking the rules, then then he won't be punished. And he hasn't been brought up to my mind and said, you are up for that. It's clearly something that I think, I agree with you, Gordon. I think it needs to be cleared up, but I don't think there can be one rule for one and one for the other. The funny thing is, Nicola Sturgeon has come out, and here's another debate on this one. Gordon Strachan says it's not about sectarianism. He reckons it's just about morons who obviously partake in this sort of behaviour. Today, Nicola Sturgeon said she's in full support of him. She thought Neil Lennon acted with great dignity after it, and she said they're going to do everything to take a stance on anti-Catholic and anti-Irish bigotry. I think she's looking at the broader picture on this one, Ruffy. I know he suffers from the bigotry. We'll never be able to prove what motivated that person to throw a coin.
No, I would think if there was anything going on with certain individuals, as far as Neil Lennon is concerned, it would be basically bigotry. You know, that unfortunately, you know, that I think most of the abuse, I think that most of the abuse that he would be getting would be of that kind of abuse. It wouldn't be football abuse. It wouldn't be directed or verbally of in a footballing context. It would be what Neil has come out and said that's happened, and that's because it's different individuals. And we're talking about the Chris Boyd thing. When Chris Boyd did what he did, I don't think he'd be getting that kind of abuse.
Yeah. He'd just be attacked by fatists.
They were just
people who don't like fat people.
He was getting stick for being like fat. That was what, and he was making a joke about it.
By the way, if Chris Boyd is fat, there's no hope for any of us. Incidentally, Ruffy's got about a supply of 42 poppies just in case one falls off, as it regularly does, in case he upsets someone. Anyway, Celtic against Leipzig. Obviously, Rangers are underway against Spartak Moscow. We will review that game tomorrow night on the programme. What about Celtic against RB Leipzig? Our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi is at Celtic Park.
Welcome to Celtic Park, where Celtic will be taking on Red Bull Leipzig in matchday 4 of the Europa League later this evening. Now, Leipzig beat Celtic 2-0 a fortnight ago, but everyone inside here this evening will know that if Celtic are to have any chance of qualifying for the next stage of the Europa League, they'll need to get all 3 points this evening. Celtic started the previous game brightly, but once again conceded weak goals, with Leipzig scoring 2 inside 4 first-half minutes. This match is Celtic's second home match of the group stage. They've already beaten Rosenborg 1-0 at home, but they lost 3-1 away to Salzburg. Celtic are third in Group B on 3 points, Leipzig are second on 6, while Salzburg are out in front on 9. A win would put Celtic level with Leipzig heading into game week 5. Since Celtic lost to the German side 2 weeks ago, they have scored 13 goals in 3 domestic games, winning their last 7 games in a row in Scotland. Celtic will be without Scott Brown, Lee Griffiths, Abue Kouyaté and Daniel Arzani after he suffered an ACL injury. Leipzig have had 6 clean sheets in a row. However, the Germans will be without 3 of their biggest stars in Emil Forsberg, Yusuf Poulsen and Timo Werner, who all miss out through injury. Now, Leipzig might be in good form, but Celtic know that they're playing the best football they have done so far this season. And with a sellout crowd expected this evening and the debut of the Disco Lights, it presents a very good opportunity for Celtic.
Yeah, nice of Gabriel to mention the Disco Lights are on tonight, so if it doesn't go according to plan, you can have a right good dance, Ruffy, and enjoy yourself at this one. Is it must win?
For me, it's a must win, yeah, I think so. I think that Celtic have been very disappointing so far. I mean, they did quite well against Rosenborg, who weren't great, but they've been disappointing in the next 2 games. Even in Leipzig, I thought this is not the Celtic the way they play. The games since then, the league games I've played since then, are very strong, looking good, scoring goals. I think Celtic can win this game tonight. I really do. I think if they play the way they can play, Leipzig will obviously be a decent side, but I think Celtic can pick up the points. They won't go above. They need to win by 3-0, I think, even to catch up with Leipzig. But I think if they win tonight, they're in a strong position.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers looking for something positive this evening.
Well, we're certainly in a much better place than where we were a number of weeks ago. So the team's really confident and playing well, scoring goals, defensively strong. We know it's a tough game for us, but no, we love playing at Celtic Park, and we know it's a game really, if we're to progress or have any opportunity to progress out to the group stage, it's a game really we have to win.
No surprise, the man of the moment, Ryan Christie, on the verge of signing a new deal. He reckons both he and his teammates are up for this one.
Yeah, it's huge. We know that. I think everyone, all the boys in the squad know that, and that's why we're so up for it. And we're really can't wait for this game to come around. Obviously, after the disappointment of the result out there, we've been looking at this game and desperate to really hopefully get a win at home, and then kind of have a right go at kind of getting out of this group. So yeah, I think everyone in the squad's looking forward to tomorrow night.
Prediction, Ruffy?
I'm not as confident as Gordon. I think this team will come and know that a draw will be good enough for them. I think Celtic on the night are a task for anybody. I just got a sneaking feeling it's going to be one each.
One each?
I think Celtic will win 2-1.
Okay, I'll go 1-0. There's a game at the weekend. St Mirren manager Oran Kearney's been speaking about it because this is massive. It's St Mirren against Dundee for everyone. And of course, the manager is calling on the players to be positive.
I do feel a couple of external circumstances have gone against us in recent weeks as well, but in the same stretch, we're not defeatist, and we're not going to sit and feel sorry for ourselves. So it's very much up for grabs on Saturday, and so important that we go and hit a really good performance level to give ourselves a chance to win the game. There's no point being in the changing room if they don't feel that they're up to it, or they don't feel that the opportunity is there to go and get 3 points. So I think football can be a harsh game, and if you're going to walk around feeling sorry for yourself or with your lip out, that'll just compound things, and teams will be more than happy to make it worse. So I think it is so important that our inspiration and motivation, I think, has to come from within, and it's very much about myself and the players and everybody else being proactive and making sure that we push as hard as possible this Saturday.
Talk about must-win games. This one could have a major bearing on St Mirren's season, because even when they come back after the international break, they've got tough games.
Yeah, most of the games are tough for St Mirren and Dundee at the moment because they're losing so often. But I think, that as you say, it's a big game, and he'll be able to point to his tracksuit top after the game if they win, and just point there and says okay, because that's a great couple of letters to have on your tracksuit top, isn't it? Okay,
yeah.
Especially when things aren't going okay.
Well, the other thing about it, which is dangerous, is it could be viewed as an inflammatory situation. Ruffy,
as long as he's not pointing to his own fans when he.
Yeah, and he doesn't leave the field of play. Just minor technicalities that we've been arguing about. Ryan Edwards says they've got to start producing games against the bottom half, never mind the big teams that come calling.
It's all well and good having good performances against the old firm when teams you're expected to get beaten. It's a one-off game. Let's go take the game to them and see what happens. If we can bring that level of performance to every single team we play against, starting with Dundee Saturday, it will help us massively, because I think you look at the mental side of the game. It's easy to get up for a game against Celtic. They're going to bring fans. It's on TV. It's a night game. It's fantastic to be a part of. But if you can bring that and get yourself up for that game as a team on the Saturday against Dundee away, it'll help us massively to get the points.
Okay, we'll get the predictions on that one on tomorrow night's programme. Just before we finish, got to get your thoughts on Champions League last night. Two big talking points. Ronaldo's goal special.
Yeah.
Man United stole a win.
They did steal it. I was watching it, Peter, and they were totally outplayed. I couldn't believe after 80 minutes he'd said to me, "Is there any chance Manchester United are going to win here?" I said, "No." You'd probably get about 50 to 1 on it if you'd actually bet it that time. They were outplayed.
Yeah, the other one I want to get your thoughts on, Ruffy, just before we finish is I clearly think Raheem Sterling was inciting the crowd by kicking the grass and winning a penalty while he was still on the field of play.
I cannot believe that the linesman never said anything in the referee's ear. No. He obviously never saw it. But
If we lost all sporting integrity, why doesn't Raheem Sterling go to the ref and say, "Listen,
sorry.
I kicked it tough. The big man's got nothing to do with it, surely."
Correct. He should have been saying that. And especially when they're winning comfortably anyway, he could at least have gone to the referee, and everybody would have seen that, that he was saying, "No, it wasn't a penalty."
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case you haven't watched the programme before, don't forget, sporting integrity is never at the forefront of our minds in Scottish football. It certainly doesn't seem to exist. And calling into question referees certainly seems to be the main thing on most people's minds. You can give us your view on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter as well. Give us your thoughts on that. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our football show on the YouTube channel. Thanks to Alan Ruff and Gordon Smith. We'll be back with you tomorrow again at 6. We'll review that Spartak Moscow Rangers game as well. Thanks for watching.